April is usually when the spring market really starts to take shape, and this year is no different. The latest numbers from the Victoria Real Estate Board give us a clear picture of what's happening across Greater Victoria right now, and overall, the market continues to feel balanced, but a little easier to read than it did even a month ago. Let's start with sales. Across the Victoria Real Estate Board region, there were 643 properties sold in April. That's up from 579 in March, and almost identical to April of last year at 642 sales. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Activity has picked up as we move further into spring, but from a year-over-year perspective, the market is still very steady. When we break that down by property type, single-family homes, there were 331 sales in April, which is up from 285 in March and very close to 335 last year. Condos, 198 sales, which is up from 164 in March and slightly higher than 187 last year. Townhomes, 78 sales, down from 88 in March, but essentially unchanged from 79 last year. So again, what we're seeing here is really just seasonal momentum. More activity than March, but no major shift compared to last year. Now let's talk about inventory, because this is where the market really starts to feel different. At the end of April, there were 3,710 active listings on the market. That's up from 3,261 in March, and also higher than 3,425 at this time last year. So inventory is building both month over month and year over year. And that changes the experience for buyers. There's more choice, more time to evaluate options, and less pressure to rush decisions. But, and this is important, more inventory doesn't mean everything is sitting. What we're seeing right now is a clear separation in the market. Homes that are well located and priced appropriately are still attracting attention, while overpriced properties are taking longer to sell and being tested by the market. Even in this more balanced environment, we're continuing to see strong activity when the right property comes to market. In just this past week, we've seen an acreage on the Malahat receive an offer on the first day. We've seen a home in Metchosin secured an accepted offer and received a backup offer, and a single-family home on a standard lot also received an offer with a backup offer. So while the overall pressure has eased, the right home is still the right home, and it can still move quickly. Now let's look at pricing. The Victoria Real Estate Board uses the MLS Home Price Index to track benchmark values, which gives us a cleaner view of pricing trends. Across Greater Victoria, benchmark values in April were: a single-family home was $1,177,700, which is up from $1,168,300 in March and down slightly from $1,194,300 from last year. Condos, $555,800, which is up from $550,900 in March and down slightly from $560,300, which is essentially a push. Townhomes, $783,400, which is slightly down from $788,500 in March, very close to $788,800 last year. So what we're seeing here is stable pricing overall. There's some month-to-month movement, but very little change compared to last year. And it's important to remember, Greater Victoria as a whole is made up of multiple micro markets, and results can vary significantly depending on location, property type, price point, and condition. So what does this all mean if you're a buyer? The increase in inventory is a positive shift. You've got more choice, more time, and the ability to do proper due diligence again. You can compare options instead of feeling like you need to rush into a decision. At the same time, staying prepared still matters, because the right property, when it shows up and it's priced correctly, is still getting attention immediately. For sellers, This is a more competitive environment. Buyers have more options and expectations are clearer. So pricing, presentation, and positioning matter more now than they have in the past couple years. Homes that are aligned with the market are selling. The ones that aren't are taking longer and often require adjustments. So overall, April's numbers point to a market that's becoming more balanced and more predictable. Activity is improving with the season, inventory is building, and pricing remains stable. But I would argue that you get more for your dollar today than you do this time last year. And that creates a healthier environment for both buyers and sellers. One where decisions can be made with clarity. If you're thinking about making a move or just trying to understand where you stand in this market, we're always happy to help you walk through your situation with you.